Hello, my dears. Daniela here, and welcome to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. We are back for another episode with my two favorite Jersey girls, Sara and Melissa of Sykes Lanno. They joined the Growth Factor program after hitting six figures in year one of their business. And we're taking you along for a behind the scenes look at what they're actually doing in their business to hit these incredible goals. But before we jump in, I have to give a special shout out to some very special listeners. There have been several times in the past few weeks where you've written in or posted on social media about your husbands, partners, or your kids listening to the podcast. And I had no idea. And that makes me so happy to hear. So this is a big shout out to the kids, to the husbands, to the partners, anybody who is supporting someone who is in the aesthetic industry by learning about it. I am giving you guys a big virtual hug. I think it's such an awesome thing to do. So huge shout out to all of you. Okay, now back to this episode. We're going to be getting into the specifics of how Sara and Melissa tripled their revenue from Q1 of last year. So if you're looking to increase your revenue, which most of us are, right? You're definitely going to want to listen into this episode because these two are not using tactics, but good old-fashioned customer service and follow-up. They're just taking it to an entirely new level. Now, I hope that you enjoy this episode as much as I do. And remember, if you want to see change in your business, you've got to take action. As incredible as it would be, you can't just listen to all of the podcasts or read all of the books or take all of the courses and expect your business to thrive. You've actually got to put yourself out there and apply what you're learning, which is exactly what these two are doing. With that, let's go ahead and play their interview. All right, Sara and Melissa, welcome back to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. I'm so happy to have you ladies here again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So last month we talked about kind of the big takeaways from the AMS. And this month we really want to get into some actionable steps to share with our listeners of how you ladies are creating such incredible success. And one of the things that we were chatting about before we hit record on this call is that you guys have actually tripled your revenue from Q1 last year up to this date, which is absolutely incredible, especially when you think that like most businesses are super happy if they grow by 10% and maybe 20% a year, and you're smashing that. Mm-hmm. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And let's get into how did you do that? Like what are the actions that you're taking? What do you attribute to seeing that amount of change in your business?
I think it really comes down to the quality of service and the connection and follow-up that we give our clients where they're consistently coming in. We only have probably less than 5% people who actually rebook from the previous month. So I think that
don't rebook.
That don't rebook. Yes, that don't rebook.
They all rebook.
So I was like, wait a minute, am I having pregnancy brain? Is that really good?
I need coffee. This is what happens when it rains consistently in New Jersey. We are losing it. Yeah, but I do think it's definitely, it comes down to the quality of work that we're doing, where we have built up a clientele. They're consistently rebooking, coming in, but also we're following up with our clients and getting them on a treatment plan. So I think that that's one of the biggest reasons we've been successful.
I think also what we can attribute to our growing success is the fact that we offer complimentary consultations. honestly, I think this has been huge for us. We allow people to come in complimentary to meet us, to see our space. We go through an in-depth consultation form with them. We bring them back. We analyze their skin. Typically, we get them started on a regimen before they even leave. They also schedule their appointment typically 2 weeks out, just because a lot of people, especially in New Jersey this time of the year, their skin is extremely dehydrated. Mm-hmm. And we know from our expertise that receiving a chemical peel, even if they have hyperpigmentation, when their barrier is impaired, that it's not
going to be effective or work. And we also,
and it could damage their skin realistically. So we like to get them on a treatment plan, have them use the products, come back in 2 weeks, and then they typically sign up for a series. We don't do memberships, monthly memberships. We do, I think we talked about it last time. We had just launched our Skin Bar Insider, which is a yearly membership, which gives perks throughout the year. Mm-hmm. But typically a lot of our clients are on a series base of treatments, whether it's being chemical peels, microderms, microcurrents, galvanic, and a lot of times we
or even our core training, for acne clients as well.
That's really interesting because, in a medical environment, a lot of the med spas, that's pretty common that you do a complimentary consultation prior to receiving any type of service, but you don't typically see it in day spas or with solo estheticians. And I think that, because they're wanting to maximize their time, if you, if you don't use that hour, if you're not getting paid for it, then
but it's worth it.
And it is. And honestly, I sell more product in a consultation than I do when someone's coming in for a 30 or 60. I mean, ours aren't typically times, but roughly 30 to 60 minute service, because they're going home with a whole regimen. They're coming to us because they're seeking help. They're seeking our expertise. And we typically get out a whole regimen within that consultation time.
And they notice a change in their skin. And then they're like, okay, you guys know what you're talking about.
I love when they come back 2 weeks post and they've already seen dramatic changes within their skin. And it doesn't even have to be, maybe all their acne hasn't cleared up, or maybe their hyperpigmentation hasn't lightened, but the actual health of their skin has changed from just implementing in quality skincare, that they feel better. They see that glow, and then that builds the rapport, that builds the respect and relationship, and then they're trustworthy of you.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that we would do in consultations in a couple of the practices that I worked in, because I had very supportive physicians, we had a Visia machine. And so a Visia machine just lets you really take pictures and analyze the skin. It's incredible. And we would do our consultation, and then we would say, I would be talking to them about their home care. And I have a 80 to 85% close rate on consultations. And I would typically sell a regimen between $600 to $1,000.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? But it's easy because you're educating them. And
Absolutely.
Then we would take the pictures, and I would say, listen, if you want to come back in 6 weeks and we'll do your pictures again, if you don't see a change in your skin, we'll take everything back. No questions asked.
Right.
And
it's amazing. We actually just got a woods lamp so that we can actually physically show them if they have pigmentation or oil and things like that. But we were just talking with our rep.
Yeah. And Sara said, she's like, it's so funny because estheticians, even when we're cleansing your skin, we can feel, right? So like, I can feel if your texture's a bit off. I can feel if your skin's dehydrated, if you're oily. I can feel those things before I even see them. But then once we bring the mag lamp on and we can actually visually see it, but to a client,
it's a trust factor. They're trusting that you know what you're saying and it's not untrue.
Right. So the woods lamp and the machine like that, I think it's so nice. We just had an event the other night. We brought our woods lamp out and showed the girls. We took pictures of everything and we were like, listen, like we've been saying the same thing over and over, but for them to see it
visually
through that lens they were like, oh my gosh. Like,
you're right.
Yeah, you're right. Or my one client, I've been seeing her for almost 5 years and her skin is like so impressive under the lamp. And I'm like, Nicole, this is amazing. I know that I'm a good esthetician, but to visually see it under this
Let me
lamp,
just pat myself on the back.
I'm like, this is amazing. Like,
Let me just.
yeah. She's like, well, I'm like, but she's also the perfect clientele. She listens to everything I say. It's just like diet and exercise. Like if I tell her to go home with a product because it's going to work, she's going to use it and she's going to be consistent. She comes for her facials. So it also goes both ways. We can be amazing estheticians, but if the clients don't do their part,
trust. Yeah.
And a lot of what we do at our spa too is we really try to sit there, even if it's not a consult and they got a facial, we explain to them, okay, let's build a connection and we're trying to build a relationship. You need to speak up if this doesn't work for your lifestyle, this doesn't work for your budget currently, if we have to do one product a month, or if we need sensory wise, you don't like something on your skin, but really it comes down to us building up a relationship. And I think that's also a reason why people know, like, and trust us, because we want to really listen to the client, not just tell them we're going to educate you.
Make it a conversation.
absolutely.
Yeah, because they have to do their part. And if they're not going to do their part, they have some responsibility. We have responsibility, but really it comes down to having a partnership. Like, let's make this work. Please tell me if you don't like this. Just like you said, if you don't like it, bring it back. Like, we really need to make sure that with our clients, even as estheticians, that we're kind of breaking the mold of not being salesy and being educational instead.
Right.
And by the way, I never had one person bring back the products. And
Oh.
so it's one of those things that when they're using it like that, you really see such an incredible difference.
You do.
It's so funny because we were just at the accountant and we refunded the entire year 2 items.
That's it.
And I mean, I was just astonished. I was like, wow. Like, I knew it wasn't a lot because obviously we didn't get product in, but I was like, wow. And it wasn't even for product. One was someone purchased something on their corporate account, which needed to be just refunded, but it's amazing. Like, no one returns product.
No.
That is amazing. So we talked about the consultation process. I think that that's a really important key to success and something unique that you ladies are doing as in a day spa environment or skin clinic environment, however you're defining your role. But really taking the time to do the consultation and create a client journey rather than just here you're in for a treatment. Like, we want to actually build a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah had alluded to the 5%, not the 95% pre-booking rate. And I want to talk about that a little bit more too, because at the end of the treatment, I'm assuming that as you're walking them to the front, you're talking with them. How does that conversation go in getting such a high pre-booking rate?
I think it's really just we're educating them. So typically we're checking them out as well, but we're just simply saying, this is what's going on with your skin. Whether we're talking about a product, you're going to go home with this. I want to see you back in X amount of time. What does your schedule look like? Because we're going to be doing this. It's more of like, not an assumption.
It's using affirmative language. Yeah.
Yes,
just instead of like, it'd be nice to see you in 4 weeks. It's
right.
I'd
No,
like
we're
to see you
very
back.
sure of ourselves, and we'll be like, does that work for you? Do not, honestly, we'll say, you cannot let more than 6 weeks go by or we're going to have to backtrack. So it's more of keeping them accountable for what they want their results to to be.
And I also think that we check off certain boxes throughout the whole client experience as well. During the service. But we always, like I said, even with our consultations, it's the same for if you just come in for a service with us. Like, we're always going to go through a consult form. We're always going to go through an analysis. We're always going to design a treatment plan. We're always going to design a home care regimen. So once we design that treatment plan in the spa, they kind of know, and they already expect that they're going to be booking once their service is over because we had already discussed it.
So it starts with the consultation process.
It starts with the consultation, and then we reconfirm it during the skin. So we'll do a double cleanse, look at their skin, tell them what product that if they're using at home is working, not working. But then we'll also tell them, like, I know you're booked for this service, but really we're the experts. We're going to tell them what we think is best. Have a communication. Does that work for you? Then say, okay, so when you come back next, we're already talking about their next service during their current service.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we also ask them during their consultation how committed they are. I think if you ask them that question, because some people will be like, I'm not committed. And that's fine. If they don't want to see change within their skin, it's not their time. And eventually, if you provide and provide and provide, they will be committed and they will want to. But that is a huge question that we ask. And pretty much everybody says the same thing. I've been looking for what you guys are providing. I was looking for education, but typically I just go in for a service. It's super quiet. And then the esthetician wants to recommend product to me, which that's not our spa. We are not a fluff spa. We are a corrective spa. So we are informative and educational throughout the entire experience. But some people might not like that. And that's just not our clientele, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to know that there is a commitment to changing their skin. And if they're on board, then we are more than happy to help them through that journey.
I love that. I think it's so important to know your ideal client. And we talk about that in all of our programs. People are, we're trying to get everybody to narrow down who's your ideal client, what's your why, like all of this. And that's something that I see in both of you is like, you're very clear on who it is that you serve. You're very clear on what the purpose, like what type of spa you are and the purpose behind that. And that, I was just having a conversation with a gal yesterday on Facebook, and she didn't want to narrow down, I serve women. And I was like, well, there's so many different types of, is it an entrepreneur? Is it a stay-at-home mom? Is it a nurse? Is it a teacher? Is it a millennial? Is it a more mature woman? Like, who are you talking to?
Right.
And that's something that is so, so important. And I know, like, it's like business 101. Like, everyone will be like, who's your ideal client? What's your ideal client avatar? And it's so easy to brush past those exercises because you're like, this is so dumb. I've done this a million times. But there's a reason that it's talked about in so many business circles because it's so important to know who you're talking to.
Right. Your targeted audience. I mean, if you're putting something out for the stay-at-home mom, but you're trying to attract the working mom, it's not going to appeal to them, apply to them, or be relatable. Mm-hmm. So you do need to know your audience.
They're not going to rebook.
Right. Not going to hit that 95%. They're going to be the 5%.
Be that 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to your follow-up process because I think that is something that you guys do incredibly well. So tell us a little bit about what and when, what happens for your client? When does that happen? What's included? Like, what is your follow-up process?
Typically, so we'll ask them what their best form of communication is. In terms of, do you answer your email? Do you like to be called? But regardless, we always send an email because not only is this wonderful for us, but this is wonderful for the client because we'll say, hi, Daniela, today your skin was glowing because we did this treatment during your skin analysis, I noticed that your skin was XYZ. So our goal is to focus on XYZ, like hyperpigmentation or whatever.
We reiterate everything that has happened throughout their treatment. So everything is documented for them. And like that,
like charting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But then it's nice because then we'll say your next treatment you should be doing, let's say they didn't rebook for some reason, or they need to look at their calendar. We'll say the next service that you should be coming in for is microcurrent. And I want to see you back in 4 to 6 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever it be, or I want to get you on a series and this is what it would look like. Then we talk about their home care. We'll say if they have a bunch of home care in that thread, we'll say, please send us a picture of all of your products or a list of all the products you currently have that we're unaware that you have. And then we'll say, this is the order, how you'll be applying your product. And then at the end, we'll say, if you have any questions or concerns or want to be educated more, please reference to our Instagram or Facebook, while also feeling free to contact us at any time.
Right. And I think that's a huge positive. I don't even know what the word I'm trying to say. Cut this out if you can.
I think it's a really
huge benefit to clients that if we have that open form of communication, because sometimes when you're in a treatment, there's so much information being thrown to you that you might forget a question or you might even forget what we had said. So to let them know that we are very responsive and have that open communication, I think that makes people feel so comfortable with us as well, and comfortable about returning, because it is more of a relationship and we're able to
connection.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then that gives people the chance for them to get people to refer. And we also talk about things being customized per person. So it's really not about how many women I hear. I'm sure all estheticians will know what I'm talking about. Oh, well, my friend uses this cream, so I think I'm going to use that. And you're like, no.
Yeah.
You're like,
but I love that was something that I was really picking up from your guys' whole process of you, whether you realize it or not, which you probably do realize, but you have a very well-established customer journey process. Mm-hmm. So from the point where they're booking their first consultation, what you're talking about in the consultation, what their journey looks like through the follow-up, that's something that a lot of times takes years to establish when businesses are trying to figure out who they are, who they're serving, and systems and processes is something that's a scary word for a lot of people. We learned at the event that I'm supposed to call them checklists instead of systems because that's a more friendly word. But it's like, that's what Growth Factor is all about, is having systems and processes in your business. And that is really like what makes such a huge difference. And it doesn't have to be a big, scary thing. You guys clearly have, here's our consultation. Here's what we say at every treatment. Here's exactly how we follow up. That's your system. That's your customer journey.
And it's duplicatable, which is the greatest thing, because as soon as we, which we will be in the next couple of months, bring on someone, those systems are already in place, and the esthetician is going to know what we expect of them, and we're going to provide that. So there's no
question.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. So any other, I think that whole client journey system is a huge part of your success for tripling your revenue from Q1 of last year. Congratulations again. Are there any other little tips or things that you think that you do differently that has attributed to that? I know you've stepped up your social. You guys are doing awesome there. Obviously, like educating yourself, been in it a year,
Right. Well, we do educate ourselves, but I also think we take a look at our actual menu. We were just doing this. We take a look at our menu, and then we take a look at our reports. And that's why having cost per treatment, like how you broke it down in your program, and then also having it where you can say, okay, this is not a service that almost anybody ever books. Overlooking those things too, I think is extremely helpful, because then you realize this sounds cool, but also, like you said at the AMS, if a client's confused or they don't understand something looking at it,
Right.
you eliminate it. But I do think looking over what's making you money, I think that's helpful too, because then we can figure out for the client what's speaking to them for us to make money, while also keeping us confined to understanding, like, let's bring a new treatment, like when to bring in something new. I think it's very exciting, like you said, that you could be like, oh, this sounds cool. You really got to look at what's making you money.
Right.
What's the most profitable and what your clients are telling you.
Right. And you have to listen to your clients. And I think what everybody also needs to realize is, like, the clients decide. You could have the greatest aesthetically pleasing spa and you can be wonderful yourself, but really at the end of the day, your clients decide what's working for them, but having a good foundation is perfect as well.
Yeah. So the other day I heard a quote, and it was, be informed, not influenced. And I think that speaks perfectly to what you were just saying. Is I think there's a lot of influence in things looking aesthetically pleasing, and you can go and have this aesthetically pleasing experience but not be informed, and you're really not getting anything out of it. So I think that speaks from an esthetician perspective, but also a client perspective. Make sure that you are providing and educating and informing your clients rather than just influencing them, because that will give you lifelong clients.
I love that. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for a wonderful update. I love hearing how you're doing. Remind us again where everybody can find you and follow you if they want to keep up with Sykes and Lanno. I always want to say Lanno.
The best place that we're the most active, especially on stories, is definitely Instagram. So it would just be the @Sykes and Lanno for our Instagram. You can also find us on Facebook, but actively, we're the most active for interaction on Instagram.
Perfect. And we'll get that all linked up. All right. I look forward to hearing your progress on our next episode.
Thank you.